But I would like to hear him before I say any more. Just the blessed have it. What's his take on what's going on with his generation and what we developing immediately? James, you hear what we're talking about. Sorry, I'm quite sure you would. I want to congratulate you with the N.Y.C.H.A. My son started a chapter for the PA. The nation will understand the fact that you motivate. Can you give us your take on what you're doing?
Well, my take, I've been living in Brownsville for 13 years since I was a baby. I'm going to tell you what these young men and young girls are looking for. They're looking for programs to keep them out of trouble, and programs to keep them active around. I'm the only person in my community who do a lot of things in my community, and guns and shootings over there, that's the 73 area. None of that stuff go on in my community because I'm the one to go to the young man and say, listen, this is not the time to be shooting right now and everything. That's why I do with the young people in my community.
Where's your community?
He's in New York, 73 area. Southern Route.
Southern Route?
Yeah.
Southern Ralph Avenue?
Yeah.
That's Brownsville.
Yeah. You said East New York Avenue.
Well, East New York Avenue.
I'm like say something more like that. He input that I've been doing my little survey talking to. You know, we study put out here that jobs are an issue, which they are. It's an issue for the adults as well as the youth. What you give a rise to is children don't have the same values that we do. We have to accept them. You know, we've been banned with weight and let us spread. You know, you sit around and you don't see the fact that we're scrambling to hold these jobs. America's going to hell in a handbasket. We done mortgage their future. You know, we sit around and talk about what we're going to do to help them with, what we're going to do to help those inside the home and don't have parents and so forth on. But every day we pass what we can do. It's necessary to try to change the atmosphere outside of us. We all don't have enough power or resources now to go into all these homes. But sitting here is enough aggregate power of people who know enough people to change that ad survey. Put more positive ads in the community. Get like HIV. There's a warehouse sitting with HIV campaigns and posters are not up. And we sit here and we talk about it. But a conscious awareness of what's going on. Right now, I'll tell you very forthrightly. What's in motion is going to be in motion. God, you always said we serve, Jesus, you don't put it in motion. It's got to go where it's got to go. It's been going too long in the wrong direction. The best thing you can do is call those who wish to change it or survive what's going to go on to give them a mode of survival. Disaster preparedness, those who want to push coming. We had a taste of here. I did it with you a few years back, showing we had on that. No water gets past your fourth floor, the electric pump. We're going to do the older people upstairs. I mean, what we have to do now and be cognizant of is that we have to take the power that we do have and utilize the things we can do. What we can do with the fact that these stores, the number of liquor stores in our neighborhood, we can be paying against. I mean, we're sitting here talking about what's going on with our streets, we're turning into alcohol. Pick a minute and go past any liquor store, you see them out there from the ages of 15, 16, 17, and they get drunk. And we got rappers selling the liquor. So we want to do something about it. Collectively, right now, we can stand up against this and put out a youth cops against that kind of foolishness. We have to take what we have, see what's going on out here, and address that. Bark into these homes and supplying jobs. You don't have jobs for the adults. Until we change what, you know, you can't change how a man's addition is till you change his appetite. What we're consuming is filthy, you get filthy results. So we can sit here and talk about what we're going to do to try to make them viable citizens, but we must change this community. Whereas we do this become a dumping a cesspool for everybody else's product that wants to dump on. So again, I say that we're sitting here, we have police, we have all these body men and women that have have access to media and have access to different resources that we can actually make a change that he doesn't have to pass grand theft larceny on every corner talking about encourage him to steal a car and make a game out of it. Why is that in our neighborhoods? Why do we have a liquor store every other block when you go out there to Queens, you can't find one for 6 blocks? Where are these public officials that we hire and put in office, and why are they getting those licenses? So we need to make people who are over us accountable for the condition that we're living in and what's going on. So we can start right there and think about the quality of life that we have here that we can control and start assessing that. I want to see HIV painted in front of every junior high school. I want those posters put up in front of Thomas Jefferson. If you get one other thing, that's one less. So we have to use what we got, get what we want.
Before we go on, we've been joined by quite a few people. So
Sign-in sheet.
there's a sign-in sheet that's here, but I'd like people to introduce themselves who came in. Start with Mr. Jackson.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? We're Greg Jackson, the Brownsville Rec Center and the Brownsville Watch.
James said resident 265.
Wilbur Harris, just sitting next to Brownsville houses. T-Bird from the Tomahawk Association.
My name is Brother Darrell.
I'm Jackie Kennedy, community outreach coordinator at Brownsville Partnership.
Ryan, joint political advocate and also an entrepreneur.
Scott Joyner, neighborhood advisory board for Community 116. Okay, now as we're going around the table, those of you who were here, again, the main purpose of tonight is we're discussing how we're going to implement and start the process of getting the resources that we do have around this table to start coordinating ourselves in a plan of action. By the way, if you don't mind me mentioning that Miss Wendy Jameson's son was lost to violence a year ago last month behind Glenmore houses. And so the fact that the matter is that, you know, with all of the issues and conditions that we do have, I just want to again state the mission and purpose is to form a positive, proactive alliance and coalition of grassroots community residents and civic and community leaders, church leaders, business leaders, education leaders, elected officials, law enforcement, and all stakeholders to unite together to show leadership, form a common agenda, and in a collaborative effort as an alliance utilize all initiatives and resources to combat the core issue of violence and its root causes in our community and restore the public safety to our streets. We all know that 90% of the people in this community are unemployed. We all know as leaders that we have a serious health HIV problem out here because when you're unemployed, you don't have health care, you're promiscuous, you got a drug problem, a gun problem. We all know what the problems are. And most of us have been and are involved in providing some kind of service to our community. We have to, in the truest sense of the word, we said this on Saturday, I'm going to keep repeating this. Most of us are the children of the leaders before us. And now, y'all are the leaders of now. This is not the first time we've had a crisis in our community. It won't be the last time. But each time we have a crisis, the leaders of the community come together to respond. Some people believe that this is the end of everything. I'm not the type of person who thinks that the glass is almost empty and about to be destroyed, because I've lived through 2 centuries now, from one century into another one. I remember my mother telling me about pastors telling me people it was the end of the world. We recently had somebody say it was that the rapture was coming, and now he had a stroke and he's in the hospital. I said all that to say this. we have resources around this table that have to be applied, and then we have to pick and choose how we're going to address these issues. We've got children that are going back to school tomorrow. All right, the corridors of our community are not safe for some children to travel because the gangs are talking about you can't come here and you can't come there. One of the recommendations I like to make tonight for law enforcement, and I know that the precinct council meeting is tonight for the 73rd precinct, and that's why they're not here, is that during the hours of 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock and the hours of 2:30 p.m. to 5 p.m., that the law enforcement personnel, I'm sorry that the 73rd precinct is not here tonight, but they've got their meeting. But we need to recommend to them that they protect the corridors that the children can travel to and from school in our community. And those of us who are in the peacekeepers, and those of us who have contact with the gang members of our community of different cliques, we need to be prepared to make our presence felt at these corridors also. Because they're already talking about not letting people travel back and forth to school. And we need to come up with solutions like that. We also need to be able to, and this is not going to be the last meeting, y'all. We have to have a planning session where we start mapping out what it is that we're going to take on as responsibilities as groups. This is just a gathering of people together to commit ourselves to do what we got to do, but then the work comes in. Right. Because after we sit here tonight, and I'm not trying to make people sound different, but in the last meeting, a lot of us talked about our pedigrees and where we come from, and some of us have been doing this now for 30, 40 years. And what happened in the 60s when the first community development groups that produced the community programs that J.A.C.H.A and us come from, the leaders sat around the tables just like, remember the meetings we used to have years ago? It was just like this, except we were the kids then. And now what they did was they sat around, once they realized what was going on, they put together the strategic plans that created the programs, that created BRC, that built Prospect Plaza, that built Sephlow. You know, these were the community programs that our former community leaders did. So now we're in a position where we got to do the same thing. So that's one of the reasons why I'm trying to steer the conversation towards us actually putting together a strategic plan of action of how we're going to coordinate what we're going to do from this point forward over the next few months. So that each of us and each of our organizations take on an actual responsibility and then start coordinating those efforts in a more effective fashion. And then the other conversations we have with the people that have contact with the cliques and the sets is how we're going to reach out to the cliques and the sets to find out how we're going to communicate with that actual population that we're dealing with. So again, I just want to encourage people to understand that this is not going to be the last meeting. And hopefully we're going to exchange over all of our numbers like we did before. And then in our follow-up meeting, do a planning session so that we can start to map out how we're going to strategically use the resources around this table to get to the population and to also address the immediate issues that we have.
I'd like to make a suggestion. At some point, I think we should make up some flyers or something. Either, after BRC, I'm saying, J.A.C.H.A was at, I think we should put out flyers. We invite the parents out to discuss these issues. See, can we get them out? I'm saying, have us a big meeting with all the projects or whatever, we can put it on every project wall and see how many parents we can get to come and talk about this issue. You see, the killing, the murdering, and all the stuff that's going on in the community. See if we can get some parents involvement in this and sit down and talk to them, see how they feel about what's going on around them. You know what I'm saying? I think that's something that we need to put on the table. We can talk to everybody. You know what I'm saying? A band like Howard, Sephlow, all these projects, and this committee here be present. You know what I'm saying? At this meeting, man, so we can have some dialogue with the parents.
When you say parents of what age children?
All of them.
All of them.
Because Because those ones that have young children, they're gonna be big children. We need to talk to them to make a difference. But I think that the video over there has a lot of space. You know, if we can try to get, you know, that man and him, and we can like invite the parents out. We gotta talk. We have to sit and talk. You know what I'm saying? You know, I mean, we sitting here talking. We gotta talk to these parents out here. These are their children that's doing this.
All right, well, just to let you know what I've done in Howard, and hopefully PSA 2 could tell you that I've had some success with it. We had a shooting earlier in the summer by the pool. I've kind of taken the guys, the men, the boys, and kind of explained to them they have to be responsible for the little girl. Last week with the missing kid, I'm doing the posting. I stopped and I had the conversation, explaining to them kind of sort of where they are and what we need to do. Somehow or another it caught on. I don't know if it's me being so active and they know that I'm working for their good, or if they know that I hope this is going to see me. Not that I can do a whole lot, but I don't know what took their attention, but I do know we have it. We have it. Now, as it comes to the mothers, the women, those are our household leaders. And I do agree that a lot of our problems stem from that. We can, my idea, start with what's outside, which are the children, the young folks, the men. Give them the message. They have to take it. They have to take it back. Let's work with my kids in the community center, hugs, talking to them. How was your day? Explaining to them how important it is to sit and eat. They kind of take it back home when they talk about what's, Mommy, we should do this, or this feels better, or can we do this? It goes back. It's baby steps. It really is. And we have miles to go, but it's something that's working. If PSA 2 could tell us how we're doing with regards to violence in the past couple of months.
It's doing better, but like Anthony knows, I've been getting phone calls. It's like everyone's saying, they can't walk across the street. They know they can't go to the store. I mean, it's a shame. I mean, that's what they're like. We all know what's been going on. And people have been calling to come in. I got to be honest with you. They're tired. I got Sephlow residents calling me today. And they're actually going to meet with me because they don't want to do it in what you guys are talking about. It's not going to happen. Because they feel, just like everyone feels, if they see them snitching, they're going to come after them. So I know what you're saying, Seville, is like get them all in a place. When I work with Jocko, I work with everyone in here. No one is going to sit in a room full of people and say, I know this, I know that, I know this. We have to come up with a new way. Daniel will tell you too.
Okay.
I will.
Now, I understand.
And they will tell me.
Well, it's different with you. But, you know, a normal person, resident, come downstairs and say, Detective Brown, I know who they're not.
But they'll tell me.
They'll tell you.
I understand that there's an urgency to get the parents involved. I work in school. And we get to see them come in and cursing out the people that's trying to educate their kids. And we know how hard it is. But I also have a feeling, because Brother Paul, Anthony, and some others, we went in Howard a long time ago. And we know that small groups do work. It's how you approach them in that building. Now, if I can't get them to all come on the job, I know I can do floor to floor. See, we don't want to put the footwork in. We want it to be done. It has to be a personal touch. You can't run and say, all of us come here. It might be that grandmother that said, listen, I'm just tired of my grandson, but I know he got household guns, and baby, I don't know how to get him out. That's a relationship that you're going to have between that parent and you to get that child some help. I can say this because I'm a family worker. I go in the house. I see what's going on in the house. If you know somebody on your floor, and you know that if you just have to have that personal touch with that person, that will be your best contact in the world to clean up that one building. If we had to do it floor by floor, we cannot sit back, because my heart is kind of messed up today. And I think I need to tell y'all why. When people talk about making changes, they don't necessarily get knocked down, but maybe their children get knocked down. My son, all of those that know my son, got stabbed in Sing Sing. Right? But those that know my son is high on the chain. nobody jumps on people how to change. I made a statement yesterday that, yes, I feel like it was racism that happened to Mr. Williams. We dealing with so many different elements, okay? And those that want to talk out and bring out what's happening, we suspect. I want y'all to understand that when y'all sit at this table, there's a whole lot gonna come with what you want to do to save this neighborhood. You might lose your children, you might lose you. Reggie, nobody never talked about when me and you got shot at. We ain't never come back and tell y'all when we got shot at. How many years ago, Reg?
Wow.
Wow. Okay, because we want to...
Same corner where boiling window got blown
Right. Because we want to make a difference. So, we didn't fall off. But I'm telling y'all that, again, the truth. It has to be the truth. You have to deal with your neighbors like you want for your neighbors what you want for yourself. And I don't have no problem knocking on anybody's door. I'll go with anybody in here if y'all for real. And we keep on saying this for real thing. For real is that, I need y'all to hear what I'm about to say. For real is having a child in a penal system, but not registered when you go log them in and you can't find them. Those of us that know, if you're in the system, you're in the system. You're on the system. My son just got in the system after he got stabbed. He's been there 2 years. My son's name is Daniel Redeem. My name is Daniel Redeem. So if we're going to step out here on faith and love our people, you're going to lose some. But if we really talking about we love our neighborhood and our community, we got to do what we got to do, and we got to see what's right. Because everybody at this table been putting in, but we're not seeing the results. Tonight is the first night I walked around here. The streets down there like a ghost town because people scared to come out. It's hot as hell in the house right now. I know it's hot in the house. But why ain't the people out in the street? Why they not milling around? There's something wrong. The men ain't stepped up, and the mothers, this elderly lady told me, y'all the ones that rock the cradle. So if y'all rock the cradle, y'all know when we do wrong. Y'all know when y'all men do wrong. Y'all know when we ain't doing right. Y'all know y'all didn't buy them sneakers for them young kids. Y'all know when we go out and act up as husbands. And if you don't say nothing to us, then we're going to keep on doing. That's the same thing with the babies. If you don't say nothing to them, and y'all always know y'all got somebody reach back to you if it get hard. Look at them. They're sitting right here with us now. Look at them. They're sitting right here. The men that's sitting here, y'all can always reach back to us. But not enough people are trusting each other. We're not trusting each other.
Now, sometimes I have a dilemma in that, I almost feel like it's like dealing with two different masters. So on the one hand, if I get a young person who, let's say, was picked up on a weapons charge. Now, I'll get a crying mother or a community leader or someone to call me, this is my child's first time being arrested. He's not a bad kid. This is just a bad scenario for him. Maybe he was following, maybe whatever the circumstances were. Now, my heartstrings get tugged on, and I feel like, maybe this is an opportunity for me to save this child from having to, maybe this was the almost first time, but, maybe we could prevent it from becoming real. But then on the other hand, there are also scenarios where I put myself on the line for young people, and they come home, and then next thing you know, that same mother is calling me again because the child got into another situation or a worse situation. So, how do you reconcile, wanting to be strong on gun laws, but still wanting to save a young person's life if they have a life when they have a life that they're living? Like, when you're faced, because I think I'm sure I'm not the only one who has dealt with this. But what do you do when you find you're in between these two worlds? Do you help the victim when the mother is crying, like, my mother cried when her son was murdered? Or do you help that other mother whose son is now facing, 25 years to life, and he's never even been subjected to the police or the criminal justice system ever? And, that's one of the questions that, perhaps I'd like to have a little bit of an opinion on, so I'll know, even how to move forward with the organization.
Let me say this. First of all, you have to understand that you have a parent that's a parent who knows how to be a parent. Then you have one that's powerless because she can't exercise her power because there's restrictions on the law and how she handles her child. We have to understand that this goes back to a root. If you put a law in effect where I can't discipline my children, I'm not talking about kill them, I ain't talking about abuse them, I'm talking about discipline. Because we have to understand one thing. When we were coming up, we got discipline. You know what I'm saying? And we knew not to do it again. Some of us did it and some of us don't. But now you have a parent in a catch situation. I can't even scream too loud at him, or he gonna turn around and tell me I'm calling, the people, on you. So, so the hands are tied. So I'm saying that there has to be a technique developed. You you have to look at, well, I have to handle this like this, because the root of it is bigger than what we think it is. I mean, this is going on all over America. This is not just in New York. I go around the country doing lectures, man. I've been in New Orleans. I've been in Chicago. I've been in Detroit. I've been in Cleveland. I've been in Florida, Jacksonville. I've been in Miami. I came back over to Ohio. I've been in Arizona. I've been in California. And I see the same thing going on in all these communities. So it's bigger than what we think it is. It is much bigger than what we think is going on with our particular situation, man. And the only way that it's going to work, we got to come together. And we got to come with some solutions, man. We got to come with some solutions because our kids are dying. You got grown people that's getting killed by accident. You know what I'm saying? One of us might be sitting on the bench out and they decide to have a shoot up, and that's it, our life is done. So we got to deal with this problem. We got to deal, and only us in this room can solve it. And we got to have a report with the police. Because a lot of things they do I don't like, that I see myself. You feel what I'm saying? There have to be some proper training. We'll be talking about here, we're going to have some training with these rookies inside the precinct or in the academy. You know what I'm saying? Come on, you come out here with kids that have problems. You can't just run up on them and say what you want to say because they're not going to respect you. You feel what I'm saying? So there has to be some kind of thing going on, man, with you. I mean, especially with you having rapport with the teenagers, man. These are not the normal teenagers you're dealing with here, man. They don't respect their mother. They don't respect you. Of course not. It's not going down like that. It's not. So we have to, we have to come with a solution and how to get to these minds. We have to change some of this mind, these thinking process, and we have to catch these babies when they're in the womb. You feel what I'm saying? Because these fathers are not in the household. They're not there. And the ones that's there are not men. We are calling men that's are boys in a men's body. That's what's going on there. You have boys acting like they're men, and they're not men. They have nobody to look up to. What are you going to look up to? They actually look at it being a man. When I'm not a man, I'm a boy, thinking I'm a man. You know what I'm saying? Because I can have sex with a girl, I can make a baby, don't make me a man. You know what I'm saying? Or anybody can do that. The dog can go out there and do that. So we got to address these problems. We got to put this into, effect, man. Like I said, all you got to do is give me a room. Give me some parents in there, and I can hold some classes. You know what I'm saying? Because it's about the knowledge, about the education, man. You know what I'm saying? This is where it stems from the mind, how they think, how they conceive themselves. Most of them don't even care about themselves. That's why I can murder you and have no remorse. Because when I'm looking in the mirror, that person I see, I don't like that person. So it's easy for me to kill her or him. It's simple, because I don't like myself. And this is the problem. This is the problem going on out here, man. If a person can walk with you and blow your head off and don't feel no way, you can just walk away, it's a problem. And it's rooted, man. It's rooted real deep, and we got to deal with this. Us as adults, man, we got to deal with this, man, with our children, man, and these parents.
Excuse me. See that? All I heard is there's two programs. Your program, I don't know if you want a program. Well, I want a program. So they're trying to find another program for the The youth say they want jobs. I say put them in skills, teach them some type of skills. Find that. We got that going. So they're going over on Adam Boy. We try to get a teacher from over here. We 2 or 3 days out of the week. Let's find another program for them. We're doing a lot of that. I'm tired of that. I'm tired of hearing that. I'm quite sure the youngsters are tired of hearing that. We're going this way and that way, the same thing. Too much talk. Let's try to map out the plan and what we have to do.
But what happens when you have all these programs teaching all these skills, but then no job at the end to provide to them? Like I remember Anthony mentioning that at the last meeting. And you know, a lot of times when you say to the young people, they always say they want a job. But you know, when you go for a job, you know what at 16 and you never, you know, you're not doing which a lot of what most people say you should be doing. You know, how do you get one? And then when there are these skills programs, like how do we create a job?
Patrice, we had some jobs, right? Target. My cousin was in Starlight City. They gave him an application for some reason for them to become Starlight City to pull him out. You know what the biggest problem was? Drugs. Okay, now if you can go in the store and buy some synthetic drugs and blow your mind, because that stuff we seen out there the other day when that man was nodding, was it me and you? And we went somewhere and seen 3 more people acting the same. There was a guy out here when we left after the meeting.
That guy having a
Right.
seizure? Yeah.
Like he had having a seizure? We went somewhere else and seen people acting like this. Now the kids talking about synthetic drugs that you can buy in the store don't cost nothing. So they getting high on synthetic drugs, and we have not once been into any of these stores and said, why are you selling this shit to these kids? See what I'm saying? So it's a good job. They got the application, say we're target. Okay? But then when they filled them out and took the drug test, they failed. We're not even dealing with the issue of what they be selling to our kids in the store. Any kid can walk on the street and buy anything to roll up to get high in the morning before they go to school. Why in Bedford-Stuyvesant they telling everybody to take the stuff out the window, but we have not even checked none of this stuff on picking and tell them, open it up, let me see what you're doing. If you're selling stuff to minors, then you need to be dealt with. See, it's a whole lot. See, Red, the more we talk, the more stuff we see, that's the problem. You see that? You know, but I'm just saying, this is a huge job, but we need to start somewhere. And if we say we're working with the kids, access to what they're getting that they shouldn't have need to be dealt with.
There are jobs out there, we just got to train them.
Yeah, but if you can't pass the test, bro,
That's why we got to train on you.
One of the
I'm not giving up on them like
One
that.
of the things that I always remind you of is time.
Correct.
And it's now 5 after 8. We started at 10 after 7, and we're almost an hour into this meeting. And we're in a culture of time. One of the things that all of us are driven by is time. We do have, I said in the last meeting that those of us who've been involved in this business for so long, I sometimes look at these meetings as a combination of strategic planning and therapy, because it gives us all the opportunity to vent some of the frustrations that we've had over the years and being overwhelmed with what's going on around us and a certain amount of lack of resources. But we're strong people, and the dilemmas that we're faced with can be dealt with. We did not get here without standing on the shoulders of people who came before us centuries before, regardless of what culture or religion or race we come from. We're the survivors of the fittest, and we're faced with this challenge. So one of the things, again, the first step in my opinion is committing ourselves to doing what we're doing with forming this alliance. The second step we have to do, and somebody who's not here, somebody from the Peacekeepers group said it, leadership. It takes a lot of structure and things to begin the process of leadership towards making the decisions and then putting together the strategic plan of action. here are leaders in your own right. And it's going to be challenging for us to pick this up. The structure of time and the calendars that we have, our kids are going back in tomorrow. The broader society and the institutions that we deal with are going to have them warehousing them in the Board of Education tomorrow. The charter schools went back to school last week or the week before. So the time structure is moving forward, and it's also driving what goes on in our community. What I did as a leader was the following. I made the New York City Housing Authority commit to giving us the community centers in Brooklyn East, and as many of them as we need, to bring the community out and to have these dialogues, and at the same time begin the process of putting together the solution. So we are actually what they call it multitasking. We're having these meetings at the same time. I know that the peacekeepers are going to be out on the street starting this week anyway. Each of us that do our thing, the Nation of Islam group, I know is going to work with those of us in public housing to do what it is we need to do. And we have a meeting here tomorrow night at 7 to 9 p.m. That's going to be sort of like a small kickoff of what we're starting to call a campaign to take back our community and to build public safety initiatives and stop the violence initiative. We're going to have one here tomorrow night. We're going to plan another one in another development in October. We're going to have another one in November, December. We're going to keep meeting in the different developments to take the same format out so that we can let the community come out and speak, and then those of us that have programs and solutions to come out and engage the community in a one-on-one conversation to give them an opportunity. Yes, we know people are scared. Yes, we know that folk are shook up. All right, but as leaders, we've all had to deal with this before, and then we have to come back out and I call it reinvent ourselves, restore ourselves, regroup, and get back involved in the community and do our thing. All right, all of us have strategic plans and programs that we need to put in action. My contribution to this is the community centers of the public housing will be open. All right, they need to have activities in these centers. Our young people are going back to school, and they need to have places in our community where they can feel safe and secure. And the only way that's going to happen is if we put together a strategic plan of action. So tomorrow night in here from 7 to 9 p.m. and I know I'm putting up the posters in Sephlow. There was a brother who was at the meeting, the press conference. He put them up around Van Dyke and Glenmore. The meeting is open to the public, but it's a start. It's a continuation of the dialogue. It's going to be a place for the community to come out and talk about this and this alone. Because it's got to be talked about, it's got to be a continuity, it's got to be something that we deal with over time. It didn't take us overnight to get here, it's not going to take us overnight to get out. There is no instant solution to this. You either in or you out. It's like the gangs. You either in or you out. All right? So those of us who are going to make a firm commitment to this, let's do it. The community centers will be open. I've been on the phone with the chairman of the Housing Authority. Those of you who know, I'm the citywide president of all the public housing tenants in the city. And my job, that I look at it, is to get these centers open, to get the things in the community center that need to be there, and to open them up so that y'all that have the resources can come into our community centers and do what needs to be done. All right, so I got the centers open. All right, we're going to get a little bit of resistance here and there from different people who don't know what time it is. They may throw their ego up in front of us. But trust me, the coast is clear. We're gonna have the centers open. We're gonna go over to Cypress. We're gonna go to Pink. We're gonna go to Van Dyke. We're gonna go to Tilden, and we want everybody to get involved. We're gonna, go to Howard, and this way we will be able to have the community centers open so that the community can come out and we can continue this campaign to let people know that we're not sitting back. We're gonna respond. I don't have the answers. I ain't claiming to have no answers because that's our job. That ain't my job. My job is to give everybody a place to come meet, all right, and then for us to all work together in unity to come up with the solutions that we need to do. All right, it's not going to be easy, and some of us, I don't mean this to be insulting, but we've been doing this a long time. We burn out ourselves, and it ain't getting no easier. All right, but we can do it. It's just a question of, realizing that it's going to be a burden, and then understanding that, as a people, as a community, we have always survived these things. All right, we just had an earthquake. We're still here.
Something real fast, I have to say this.
Yeah.
Our politicians have to be held responsible, man. We have to stop putting people in office that are not doing what they're supposed to do in our community, man. We got to stop that, man. This is us. You feel me? And you know what I'm saying? And if we got a person, man, over there, man, in the office and they're not helping our community, we got to get them out of there, man. You don't keep putting them back in and putting them back in, man. And we got to advocate this. They have to get up out of there, man. Steal the money. You know what I'm saying? I'm hearing that they get ready to put a court building, you know what I'm saying, on Hockerson, on 44, a court building. You know what I'm saying, for our youth. You know what I'm saying? They get ready to put a court building for our youth in Brownsville. Now you got the jail there, you got the precinct right there, and then you got a court building. What is that telling you, man? What are they getting ready to do to our children, man? You know what I'm saying? For real. You know what I'm saying? And I was finding out about this. I said, what? A court building? Like they got in Red Hook. They're going to bring one right in Brownsville. So now we ain't got to go downtown Brooklyn to process nobody. We take them right there, process them, send them right down, or send them up north.
Yeah. Send them across the street.
You know what I'm saying? I'm across the street. You know what I'm saying? So listen, we gotta have people held responsible for what they do.
I just wanted to say, Mr. Bowman, I'm not here to challenge nobody's authority. I'm here to get solutions. We was here, we started this task, and last week we had an agenda. We was here because to speak out against violence. I didn't hear much about violence tonight. After me, Derek, and Black left last week, we went, paid $20 to some gang members and sat down and spoke to them because I do feel speaking to them gets more done than this meeting. And yes, to hear how these young people think, I think when we come together, we need to have those young people here.
Yes, sir.
We need to, I started my own organization because I like to do things differently from people. If I gotta pay 5 gang members $20 each to sit down and help me better our organization structure, that's what we want to do. And hearing those gentlemen speak last Saturday, we're in trouble. Because when they can sit at a table and say, and I can just show y'all right now, how many of us is ready to die? Ready to die for what we believe in this community. Now, I don't see no hands. Right. Okay. No, how many of us is willing to put our life on the line for the betterment of our community?
I do it every day.
And you ask when you ask the young people this and see 200 or 100 hands go up, it's a scary thing. It's just a scary thing, Reg. It's
I know what you're saying.
Now, kids are going back to school tomorrow, and I asked the gentleman, we're having a meeting at Sephlow. What would it take for y'all? 3 different games, Wood Stars, WED game, Howard. What would it take for y'all to come to Sephlow? They said, how many police you're going to have?
That's what they said too.
How many police you're going to have? Who's going to be there? And how are we getting back home? I said, I will drive you. They said, I will come. As long as the police did. Then one of them said, we don't give an F about the police. They was in Sephlow and watched the guy get killed. So the police, and me and Bobby, if the police is here and people still shooting at you, we have to do something. We have to do something. We have to do something when these young kids, 14 and 12 and 13.
History has recorded
I didn't know.
that back in the slave days when we were dealing with abolition, and we had to fight our way across the continent in order to survive, there was never no guarantee that all of us was going to live. And like you just said, and Danny said it earlier, some of us are not going to survive this, you know, and I don't like to call it the casualties of war, but basically, right now, that's what it is. So I don't think we get no argument, brother, that all of us who are sitting around this table are diehards, and I guess, you know, a lot of us will die doing what we do, you know. So we're down with it. So
I'm sorry, Rich, I just want to ask Lieutenant Lewis about one thing that I did research on. From 2004 till now, 19,000 people under 17 have joined Facebook and Twitter. So now, I asked the police department, show me the crime stats from 2002 with gang violence, then compared to now with Facebook and Twitter. Because as I'm speaking to the young kids, everything is Facebook and Twitter and YouTube related.
yeah.
Everything. Without that, they can't even speak to each other. That's something that we need to think about.
And Reg, I want to tell you something funny that happened in my school today. There's a school safety agent that's been there 20 years, and there's been one there that's been there 10 years. Today he was reassigned. He put a brand new charter school in there, put 2 other schools in it, and we got a suspension site in our school.
A suspension.
We got a suspension site. We got 4 and 332. We got a suspension site.
4 schools in there?
Yeah. You got a charter school, you got another school, lower grade, and you got 320. Now you know, Ann, how many times I called you about this? Too much. Why would you take a 20-year vet out of school and a 10-year that know the parents and the kids? See what I'm saying? We've been set up for failure out here. Now, why did they get for something that happened last year that somebody misinformed the chief? Why you don't come into the school and ask the principal what occurred? Because the principal would have gave them the truth. Now we losing 2 good people tomorrow. School is starting. Guess what the children will be looking for when they come in there? Miss Stokes, 2 ladies though. Miss Stokes and Miss Brown. They're gonna be looking for them tomorrow. Right? Red. This thing about this charter, it sounds all good, but if you gonna bring some lambs to where they at, where we at, we lead them to the slaughter. Yeah, and we're not talking about this stuff. Our people are making decisions based on what they feel is right for the community, but never looking at what's safe for the community, what's right for their pockets. We would have never made a decision like that to pull out these people. No, we would have never made that decision. But so, if y'all can, please think about going to somebody's school, just seeing a parent present around the school or something, because we're going to catch hell tomorrow. We know we're going to catch hell tomorrow. But the people that's sitting up, and I'm going to tell you, sir, I'm not throwing names around. I want to call Chief Nelson, just to say, Chief Nelson, can you call somebody in this place to say, this ain't going to work? It's not going to work.
That ain't gonna work.
And I know that's not going to work because he's not there no more, but somebody knows somebody. And if we know those people are not in that school tomorrow, and everybody that's chartering is bringing their kids in, dropping them off in cars and going to work. It ain't like you live across the street and we can run across the street and get you and say, the child got a problem.
I'll find them on Facebook.
I'll find them.
You sit here, you one of the most successful centers I've seen around here in the last few years. I know about the N.Y.C.H.A program that one time was the other son. Yeah. What do you think, in your perspective, you deal with the youth?
That's what I'm saying. I'm listening to everybody talking. We have some great ideas. What are you gonna do? I mean, so all it sounds good. You talk, you know, we rah-rah and you blame somebody else. You gotta go out there and do it every single day. So we can talk what we want. Don't take a lot of money. Don't take anybody else's. So we sit around the table right now. We don't see a politician. We don't need a politician to do what we gotta do. You gotta do it yourself. So if you wanna get something done, just chip in, whatever it takes. Let's do it. We can't talk it and not do it. We sit there and blame. It takes stop and frisk, we can cry all we want.
Right.
But until we get that going and get it going right, we in trouble. I have 9 kids, 9. I have 5 daughters and 4 sons. Do I want my son to stop and frisk? Of course not. I said, son, that's part of the language these days. Sad thing, but if you don't stop somebody, even you have nothing on you. Let's not worry about that. We don't talk to people. Let's not worry about that. We got to train our kids how to be successful in our neighborhood. This is Brownsville. It's always been basically what we see today.
Sure.
And that,
One way right there.
what keeps the peace mostly?
We take some people respect what we do because they like what we do.
That's right.
You know, you can talk the way you want to do it, but they respect what we do. Well, you've been down, you see what we do. You know, we always got some programs on for the kids. But I've been very successful in life. I don't blame none of my problems on somebody else. And if something else happened, I say, I must have did something wrong for that to work. Somebody not doing what they're supposed to do, I'm gonna do what they should be doing.
A lot of people cross the line to get to your place. Your place is not,
You know why? Because if I see a problem, yeah, we take those kids home if there's a problem. If I see a problem, let's just give them a call and I'll take you home. So we make everybody really know they're safe to come down here. You gotta talk, you can't just talk all the time. When I was 16 years old, I was telling the young lady out front, I used to run this center right here.
That's right.
That's right, 16 years old, I was the guy running the show. Because my club was smart enough to give me the keys and say, oh, you guys are your friends. And I would have them all in there, and before we close up at night, we wash and wax floors. And we did things because you wanted to be a part of the team. If you wasn't a part of it, you help out that night, you wouldn't come back the next day.
One of the biggest things I've seen success with them is there's a lot of adults that are in this city that participate. And we back to that thing about adults. The adults are there.
One reason is because people always feel like, you know, they all have something that they have. You know, you had a great idea, talk to you on picking out about training the kids about who not to go to. And I thought that was such a great idea, you know. And I said, yeah, so, I mean, that's his idea, but we want to use it at the BRC because that's a great idea. So I don't have a problem using somebody's great idea and then come and let them teach that idea. But we can't just talk and blame it. The white man did this, and ain't no white guys here right now. We did this.
Yes,
so let this happen. So let's go take care of that stuff ourselves.
Doc, how many people do you have to, I mean, this is, you're at Brownsville Recreation Center, but in speaking to the young people, a lot of people are afraid to come here.
Yeah, we have a whole lot of people come from
Nah,
last year we had 500.
A lot of people go.
There's a lot of people there, but there's thousands of more that's not.
That's why we need to duplicate what he's doing there, where you're
We
at.
do it here.
That's what I'm saying. That's the point I'm trying to make. You need the adult support that he has over there with you.
Duplicate what's going on. See,
Take a formula, replicate it.
it's like what Jocko just said is right. Walking the walk. You know, we've seen this before when we was growing up. We've seen this before, and what folk did was just do it. We got these facilities here, like I told you, the doors is open.
Just use it.
Just use it. You know, Bowman, I need such and such center. Bam. We sitting in here tonight. We were sitting in here Saturday. Why? Because I told Howard, I said, listen, community want the centers. So we in here. Now all we gotta do is use it.
Respectfully,
Do what you gotta do.
we've never seen what we've seen now. We've never seen this as people. I'm sorry, I disagree with you. The whole concept of what's going on. We, in the 60s, we had our black umbrella. We came into a consciousness of ourselves after 100 years after so-called being free. We came to a consciousness of ourselves and we talked because we were unified in the fact that we agree who we are. We've never seen us as divided as we are now. Because we bought into a scheme for 25 years, from 1970 to 1995, we had jobs. And one, you know, the Lindsay years, whatever. After that, you had the layoffs and we never recovered, because after that, crack came in, heroin came in, and our people have been devastated. We've never seen what we see now. And we cannot, you know, they say insanity is doing the same thing expecting different results. We cannot keep on going crying to people about jobs. We got the jobs. The jobs come from the fact of the money we spend, and we have to learn to spend the money where we create our own job. We can't keep on with that same old time stuff about we're going to march on this, we're going to ask the police to do this. That is dead. That's why them young men are not respecting it. They look at it going, yeah, we'll tell that stuff to somebody else. They ain't scared of the police because the police, they're going to say, well, we're going to die because we ain't got a job anyway, so they ain't scared. And we don't lost hope on what we got. We losing hope. We ain't never seen this before. We've never seen this, but God has made a warrior out of these children. And you know what it is? If they're going to beat us into the fact that we're going to have to come together. So we ain't never seen this before. You know what I mean? You ain't never seen a child that will walk up to you at 13 years old and pull out on you. You ain't never seen that before. I've never seen women walk up to each other, call each other bitches. When I was young, I would have to fight her mama, her sister, her cousin from down south, and everybody else if I call her a bitch or a hoe. You ain't never seen black people disrespect themselves like this before. So we ain't never seen this before. So that what it means that we can't go back to the same methods that we used back then. We got to stop around here, walking around here like we are descendants of slaves, but we don't have to continue being slaves. We got the power that, like I said, to impact today. I don't want to plan about what we're going to do next week. Emmett, come out this meeting and say, well, we ain't going to have something more. We got people sitting here. Tomorrow, I told you before, they got an HIV posters down there, but why don't we say we won? See, we got to use the move when we can, because we
Where those posters at?
Cameron. Lieutenant Glassberg at his place says he can get them down to when we want it.
So good.
Yeah, but you know something about the HIV thing, man?
Can I finish, brother? I want to finish and I'll let you go ahead on what you're going to do. The bottom line is that as we sit here, and that's why he was saying that they don't expect, because they're planning to do their thing tonight and pull out that ratchet and make something happen by tomorrow morning. We'll sit here, well, we're going to plan next week to make, damn it. As a matter of fact, you say, who would like to come see the posters tomorrow? I'll come in. I'll petition for them tomorrow. But I want them in front of the school by the third week of September. I want them in front of the school. So I'm gonna come and tell you whatever I have to do. Let's do this. Like he said, you have to do it. You know what I mean? I grew up admiring this man. Fly wheels, the wrestling cats, and so on. We play ball. When they play ball, we went out and played the same night, trying to imitate the moves. You know? And this is what he's talking about. Them children don't respect us because we don't act like adults and responsible. There's 3 points that we have to do. One is atonement, one is reconciliation, and one is responsibility. We have to atone with the fact of what we've done, accept the responsibility of those things and the faults that we've had. We have to reconcile with ourselves and our children, and we have to take responsibility for our community. And the bottom line is, it ain't going to happen with us yakety-yak. When we say we're going to do it, let's do something. And whatever little we can do till we get to the big things, let's do it.
That's what we said in the last meeting.
Let's do it. I'm going to go get the post. I'll get it tomorrow morning. I'll talk to you after.
There's one thing I want to mention, what Anthony mentioned. Talking to these kids is key. Our #1 problem is violence. Let's face it. I know there's a dog problem, HIV, everything else, but right now, the shootings that are going on are really excessive.
But what do they say when you, I know what they say. When I talk to them, you got a job, I don't have a job, give me a job. What are they saying that they want?
Well, first of all,
what do they want to stop?
I'm going to be very real. Some of these kids I talk to, and I can get them a job, and they don't really want a job.
What do they
Everyone talks and I talk, I want. Then they're like, come here, show up tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, I'll get this started. No show. But now I want to get back to the violence part. Because to me, that's the #1 thing right now.
That's what this
When
is.
you mentioned getting the 2 sides together, that's what we need to do. Because first and foremost, the bullets have to stop flying. We can work on the other things. I'm well aware, job situation, health situation, we know that. But the violence right now is totally, everyone knows what's going on.
So what do you do to stop it?
It's not, let me finish.
No, yes, sir.
Listen, this didn't happen overnight.
Yes, sir.
It's not going to end overnight. But we've got to really get together and pull the parties involved. On the younger end, the kids that are doing all the damage, and the parents also. You mentioned earlier about parents are a little bit nervous and disciplining their children. A lot of it is because they're misinformed on what they can do and what they can't do. So I would tell any parent, if you're not sure on what you can do and what you can't do, come into your local precinct, speak to the youth officer. Someone who's not there to, they're there to help you. That's their #1 goal. Seek me out. I've been in this area close to 28 years now. I'm out there every single day.